Welcome to Skills Exchange Podcast. Today we're talking about Skills for Life 7, and I have on a few guests. I'll let them introduce themselves. We will start with Rebecca. Could you introduce yourself and tell us about your story, including level of amputations?
Hi, I'm Rebecca Armenta, and I am a amputee above the elbow of both arms, so a transhumoral amputee. I became an amputee on October 8th of 2022. I was in a vehicle accident in which I actually lost my arms in the car accident itself. So it was a fairly tragic event, but I'm here and I'm alive. So I'm happy to be here. One thing that's a little bit ironic is my accident actually happened on the or during the Skills for Life 6. So kind of just ironic that that worked out that way. But yeah.
Thank you, Rebecca. We'll go ahead and go left to right on the screen. Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Scott, and I became an amputee from sepsis following a kidney stone. It was December 26th of 2022 that I presented with the kidney stone. Within 24 hours, I was in septic shock, resulted in the amputation of all four of my limbs in May of 2023. So I'm a bilateral below the knee amputee, left arm below the elbow, and right arm partial hand.
Thank you, Lisa. We'll go ahead and have Eric introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Eric Dozier, and I was in an electrical accident in December of 2020. Um, and it was just a workplace accident, wrong place, wrong time. Um, and I am below the elbow on both. So bilateral transradial amputations.
All right. Thank you, Eric. Tim?
All right. Hi, my name's Tim Bannon. I am a congenital uh, amputee above elbow, actually complete shoulder disarticulation. So I don't have any arms at all or even a shoulder. I'm 20 years old. Yeah.
All our guests today are first-time attendees for Skills for Life 7, and as you can see, we have guests at various different arm amputation levels. Perhaps if someone is listening, that they can find someone on this panel that is similar to themselves in amputation level, and then imagine or listen to how y'all's experience was so that they could decide maybe they'll come next time in 2028. So let's go ahead and I'll start with Tim. As a first time attendee, how was your experience at Skills for Life 7?
So, as a first time attendee at Skills for Life 7, my experience was very fruitful. It was very engaging. I got to meet a lot of people that were similar amputation level. It was very fun. I had a good time overall, and I got to learn a lot of things along the way that I've started to implement into my daily life.
Tim, your mother is also a congenital amputee at the same level as you, so some of the things you've learned through your life is through her, right?
This is correct. Yeah, my mom was also, it's the same exact condition that we both have called Holt-Oram syndrome, and it affects both our hands, or I should say our arms and our heart. But mostly, obviously, we're talking today about the hands and the arm portion. But yes, that my mom has been one of the leading people in my life that I can kind of relate to in the way of learning every day and experiencing life and having her guide me through some challenges that I may overcome or obstacles that I meet along the way.
One other follow-up question. How many times have you met someone that like yourselves, you and your mother? How many times in your life?
That's a good question. I'm not exactly sure because I never really get in depth with people talking about specifically their amputation. I believe we are one of the few, if not the only people with the exact condition, but I have met a few people that do not have any arms at all, like any shoulders or anything like that. Because I don't even really have like I said, like a shoulder. It's complete shoulder disarticulation. So
Mhm.
but I have met a few people that look very similar to me. I'm not exactly sure if they have the same condition, but I know that they are of similar level of amputation.
Thank you.
Yep.
Uh, we'll go to Eric. Eric, as a first-time attendee to Skills for Life 7, how was your experience?
Um, it was good. It was one of those experiences that you kind of have to immerse yourself into, or else you're not really gonna get what you need out of it. Because at first, you just kind of don't really want to participate. You just want to listen. And if you're gonna, when I started acting that way, it just kind of, I wasn't getting the information I exactly needed, and so I had to engage in the questions. And then the more I engaged, the more I learned that I could actually help, not just receive. And so I was able to help teach some things. I received more, and it helped really put myself more out there because I was the type of amputee that was in denial, took forever to ask for help. I'm also very mechanical. I can figure it out myself. And it actually slowed me down um, in my process to recovery and learning how to do things and talking to more amputees, seeing how different people do things. It helped also revitalize my ingenuity on how I can accomplish things, how I can further get better, and even like the simple things. Like I know that you and me had a talk in one of the breakout groups where I was like, how do you put on deodorant? And you're like, well, have you tried your prosthetics? I was like, I was really overthinking things and never even thought about doing the simple thing, the thing I use for everything.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think it was very fruitful once I decided to fully engage in it.
Thank you, Eric. I had a follow-up question is like, what's what would have been different had this conference been remote or via Zoom? How would it have been different?
I mean, I feel like when things are remote, especially whenever amputees need to visualize things, be there to see a full body example, like not just hearing the words, like we've got to see it, or else it doesn't really make sense. You kind of have to be there, and then also having the people like help coach you going through doing these new things. So I think it's a lot more important to be in person, have that face to face contact, and actually problem solve together, instead of just doing a remote where you can just say something and then you try it out and you have questions and you can't really get back to it unless you call. But whenever you're trying it out with each other, you're able to engage and really tackle it together instead of trying to figure it out later and it not working.
One last follow-up question. How many transradial amputees had you met previous to this conference?
So previous to this conference, I had really only met like one arm amputees or one leg prior to this, and I was the first one that I knew to lose both hands. So back whenever it just felt like I was, unlucky, and I'm the only one around here that's like this, and um, but when I started going to my prosthetist, you run into people in passing and you meet more people, and then at Skills for Life, you finally run into a bunch of people that are all like you, and it makes it not feel so lonely, I guess.
I felt the same way. I
Yeah.
felt like I was the only one. I was the pioneer of this
Mhm.
thing that I was doing. And sometimes that could feel lonely.
Oh
Let's
yeah.
go to Lisa. Lisa, would you tell us about your experience at Skills for Life 7?
Kind of piggybacking on what Eric just said, for me, the beauty of Skills for Life 7 was being able to be around so many people that are like me, and that are going through the same thing. There's just something that you can't replace in being in a room with a group of people like that. It kind of hit me flying home. You leave, and then your next kind of venture is in the airport, and it's almost like you get dumped back into the real world, and then it starts to just kind of feel like, wait a second. I'm looking around, like I'm just so used to, for those few days, everybody else around me that is going through the same things and has the same challenges. And it's really cool to just kind of feel like part of the group for a few days. So that was one of my biggest takeaways, is that just having that time with people. I met a lot of, not a lot, but I met a handful of people online through the Skills for Life Facebook page and things like that, that became friends online. So getting to Skills for Life 7, there was people that I now consider good friends of mine, but we never had that time face to face. So that was really cool to have that time and grow that friendship, and also just, being face to face with people. There's those, like, for me, sometimes in those smaller conversations, but maybe there's those questions that you don't want to ask in front of a big group, or you don't want to ask on a virtual event. They're private, they're personal, and you have that friend that you can kind of be like, hey, how's this work for you? And those things to me were invaluable.
So, Lisa, how soon after your amputations were you plugged into the Skills for Life or the Enhancing Skills for Life Facebook group?
I want to say that I got connected with the Facebook group maybe about 6 months out. Um, I I was given, when I was in inpatient rehab, they helped me fill out the paperwork to get a mentor through the Amputee Coalition. And that mentor brought it up to me. And when she said, "Hey, you should join this group," it was funny because Enhancing Skills for Life was already on my radar, just from my husband and I, you know, couple months after my amputations, um, when I kind of felt ready, I kind of went online and was looking for, people I could find online that were showing things. And we had both kind of stumbled across some posts on Facebook and things from Enhancing Skills for Life. So we'd already seen some of the information that was out. And then I would say it was probably about 6 months that my mentor said, "Are you in this group yet? You need to join this group." And then I joined, which was a game changer alone, because that's where I started to really meet people that, like I said, that are I now consider good friends. And um, when the catalog came out with all of the different tools, that was really, really helpful for me as well. So Skills for Life 7 was on my radar pretty early, and was kind of, I told my husband, like, we're going. Just know we're going. Put this on your schedule now.
You say that the Facebook page was a game changer.
Mhm.
Um, how was the in-person experience of Skills for Life 7?
Yeah, so the Skills for Life 7, the in-person event, was, you know, levels above the Facebook group. It really was, because it is that in-person event. I'm glad I had the Facebook group to make connections with people that then, the first day there, it was like long lost friends. We see each other across the room, and big hugs and those types of things. But again, spending that time with people, just hanging out in the hotel bar until 11 o'clock at night. We did that almost every night, just talking to people, because you only have a few days, and we're going to go home, and it's going to be a while before we see each other. So being able to spend that amount of time with each other and just laughing and joking around, you know, giving the bartender a hard time. Like, again, that just camaraderie of this is us, we're united and we're a group was pretty cool.
One of my mentors is Mike St. Ange, and he always says like
Yeah.
the after hours is probably just as important as the conference part. So
Yeah. Mike is actually my mentor too, because he's one of the first people I met because he lives in the same town as me. So he's been the guy kind of teaching me everything as we go. So yeah, we spent a lot of time with him, even though he lives close by. That was cool.
so you got a peer through Amputee Coalition.
Correct.
And just making note that we have one guest on that has a peer mentor, one guest on that's their mom is their peer mentor.
Mhm.
What Eric, did you have a peer mentor?
No, I didn't. I mean, I had talked to Jason just because we had the same prosthetist, Jason Koger,
Hmm.
but I wouldn't really say he was technically my mentor, but he
Yeah.
was always happy to talk to me or anything like that. I didn't reach out as much as I should have, but you know, but as far as amputee one-on-one connection, he was probably the one I had the most with.
Rebecca, you're on the planning committee for Skills for Life 7. Uh, However, you had never attended a Skills for Life 7, correct?
Correct.
I
Yeah.
mean, not Skills for Life 7. You had never attended a Skills for Life.
Right. Right.
Also, you have a mentor, Eric Nelson, um, and knowing all that stuff. How was being in person at Skills for Life 7?
It really was a fantastic experience. Truthfully, I found out about enhancing skills for life and skills for life 7 relatively quickly after my amputation. And that's actually how I got connected with Eric Nelson. I had joined a weekly webinar that Enhancing Skills for Life was putting on, and Eric was attending as well, and found out that we live, very close to each other. Um, and so I had been, very excited in anticipation of Skills for Life 7 for, almost the 3 full years, waiting for it anxiously. And it absolutely exceeded all my expectations, truthfully. Being on the planning committee, and having Eric Nelson as my mentor, who he actually has attended every Skills for Life. I'd heard a lot about it, right? So, um, but just being there, it's completely different than what you could ever anticipate. Even just the feeling of looking around like the room when we're all there eating, and seeing everybody. And yeah, everybody had different ways of doing things, depending on their level of amputation. They had different ways of eating, but we all had some unique way of eating, right? And it was just so, I can't almost explain it, but it was just so encouraging, I guess, just knowing that there are a bunch of other people out there, even though you rarely ever meet them, right?
Hmm.
It's not like we're very common and run into each other on the streets a lot and things like that. Um, so it was just very encouraging to know that there's all these other people out there that have the same struggles, that I have, and have the same, wins. I mean, when you learn to do something new, and that was the great thing at Skills for Life, learning new things and finding things out, you get this level of excitement, right? Because it's like, oh, wow, I can do something, that I couldn't do before, or there's this much better way of doing it. So yeah, it far exceeded my expectations. One comment I want to make is it was very interesting because I was showing my mom some of the videos and some of the photos that we took from the conference, and taking a step back and looking at the videos and everything, it was it it was so heartwarming because everybody had such a positive outlook in most cases, right? The energy level and the vibe, if I can say it that way, of the conference is just very uplifting. And I could really see that again, but from a little different perspective when I was showing my mom. And of course, she was in awe of watching these videos and different people with different levels of amputation and different ages. We had, I don't know what the age range was, but I think it was from almost birth to, or 1 or 2 years old to, I don't know what, 70, 80.
Hmm.
So, it was just a great group of people in general. Pretty much everybody there. And you learn so much. So I have so many things that I was able to bring back with me, tips and tricks and things that you're excited to work on. And so, yeah. So yeah, way exceeded my expectations.
Awesome. I think that's one of the special things about Skills for Life is that you're over there and nobody's staring at you because they're just minding their own business, and
Hmm.
that helps in the learning of new things because you're not worried about those types of things. Um, so let's go with Eric. What was your favorite thing about Skills for Life 7?
I feel like my favorite thing was probably getting to play pickleball. I never thought I'd be able to play pickleball, but that was a pretty fun time and activity day. Just seeing how people are able to like play golf, play games, do the um, bikes, the adaptive vehicles. I mean, just seeing how so many people have different ways of doing the exact same thing, and especially things that you didn't even think that you would be able to do again. Like I used to play golf all the time. I used to play tennis and stuff you never thought. Like I'm just like, I mean, I can't grip something like that. It'll fly away from me.
Hmm.
Um, and it discourages you from even trying it. And then, yeah, you talk to these prosthetists about it, these OTs, and you'll sit there and talk about how you want to do all these things. And of course, they can only provide so much because they haven't had to, try it themselves. They just have to watch you try it and learn from you trying it. And if it's just not making sense in your head, it's hard to progress it. So, learning with a bunch of other amputees, some may have figured something out years ago and is now sharing that with you. And then you just grow as a community instead of just trying to progress slowly by yourself. It definitely was a very rewarding experience in that department, is just learning how to do things I never thought I'd be able to do again.
Thank you, Eric. Lisa, how about for you? What was the most favorite thing at Skills for Life 7?
Probably my all-time favorite, my most favorite thing was trying out the bikes. I haven't ridden a bike, since, well, before all this happened either. I didn't ride a bike right before, but being able to get on an adaptive trike and zoom around the parking garage was pretty fun. I also really enjoyed the quad boot camp that they put on for those of us who are quads. That was kind of cool because there were some things in there that I have not really tried in about a year since I was doing physical therapy. So, practicing falls and getting up off the ground and those types of things was pretty rewarding because I was able to really see the amount of growth that I've made since I was doing those things, in PT about a year ago. So I really enjoyed that. That one was really empowering.
Right on. Thank you, Lisa. Rebecca, what was your favorite thing about Skills for Life 7?
So I have to go with Eric on the pickleball. Um, but truthfully, picking one thing is you can't just pick one favorite thing. There were multiple things that were favorite. But I really enjoyed being able to play pickleball, yoga. I thought they did a really good job with like the cooking stuff, the kitchen, learning the kitchen stuff like cutting and opening cans and things like that. Like there were tools I didn't know about that I could use where I've been using my teeth, which is not good. I think that was a really good one too. I got a lot out of that session as well. But yeah, it those would be my favorite if I had to pick just, one or two.
That's great. Thank you, Rebecca. Tim, what was your favorite thing about Skills for Life 7?
Apparently, sports and activity day was popular because piggyback off of Eric and Rebecca, I also really enjoyed pickleball. It was my first time playing pickleball. Not my first time playing a racket sport, but I love sports. So seeing that in activity day, I was like, I got to try it because I've already tried golf and I do have adaptive equipment for golf. Uh, but wasn't really interested in the golf portion. But I was like, pickleball. So I got over there and they were very helpful and very attentive to like, okay, how can we do this? Because playing racket sports in the past, just like in a gym class or whatever, I was just using somebody's office chair to move around the court, which probably isn't the most safest thing to do, but we made it work and I didn't fall. So I think being that I was one of the first people that they met that was completely no arms whatsoever for that day, they were intrigued as to how to help me and how to adapt in the way that I could do it. And I was like, the only way I really know how is to do a chair, and that's kind of just the setup we went with. But possibly for next Skills for Life 8, hoping to see what they come up with for next year. See if they bring a wheelie chair or some sort of a device so that way I can roll around the floor and get the ball that way. So yeah, that was very fun.
All right, thank you. I I'm gonna share my favorite part, and I my favorite part is when me and Jason won the cornhole. uh, okay. Uh, you have a favorite thing. Everyone has a favorite thing that they do at Skills for Life 7, but also there's like certain things that are more impactful. What was the most impactful thing for you? And we'll go in reverse order. We'll go back to Tim. What was the most impactful part of Skills for Life 7?
Yeah, I have to say the most impactful part of SFL was probably finding a male role model, as you said before in a previous question or follow up question. That my mom is my only real source at home of guidance. So, being that I am born male and don't really, I obviously, like I said, don't have a male role model. So, finding a male role model was definitely one of the biggest impactful things as someone who's just blossoming into adulthood. Like I said, I'm 20 years old, so being that I haven't really had much of a chance to find my way as an adult man and being with and around people who have shared my same experience in the way of gender. So seeing that and being able to bounce ideas off of them shout out to Cesar Gonzalez, has been really helpful with my adventure into adulthood as a young man. And yeah, I'd say that was probably the most impactful thing and most relatable thing to have happen to me is being finding a male role model.
Yeah, yeah, and I think role model is just another word for peer mentor, and it's always important to have a peer or a role model, peer mentor or role model. Let's go with Eric. What was the most impactful thing for you from Skills for Life 7?
I would say the most impactful thing. I mean, yeah, whenever you see these brochures and all these things, of course, you're going to see the fun activities, the cornhole, the pickleball. Look at all these things we're doing. But I feel like the thing that I learned the most from was like the breakaway groups. The like they had specific groups for bilateral arm amputees, then the quads. They had male, female, so it's more specific to try to get it to where it applies to more of what you need, not just general amputees. It's more of people who are close to you, like just upper body amputations. And I feel like I was closed minded whenever I thought about it. I mean, I was trying to open up, but I was like, these are the things I need to know, and I want to learn these here. And that's all I really care to learn about. But once I got in there and really started immersing myself, I found that the independent groups where you are really getting personal and talking to people about how you handle life, like how do you go to the bathroom, how do you travel, how do you cook, clean, hunt, do all these kinds of things, and figuring out how people do it differently. Like nobody can do it the exact same way. Like you could show me how you do it, even though you and I have a very similar amputation, and I just can't figure out how to do it that way. And so just talking about it and be like, hey, I've tried it that way. That doesn't work for me. And you'd be like, okay, well, let's try it this way. How about trying it this way? And just diagnosing how to solve a problem with a group of people instead of just trying to figure it out by yourself was very impactful to me.
Yeah, I like those breakout rooms, and you're more um you're not asking questions in front of everybody, so
Yeah.
it can be more something more, make more of a connection to your individualized needs. Lisa, what was the most impactful thing for you on Skills for Life 7?
Yeah, very similar. But I think for me, the most impactful thing were a lot of those small group conversations, meal times, talking to people around the table, or hanging out outside of the ballrooms, waiting for a session to start, or those types of things. And you just start talking to people and be like, "Hey, what's that? How do you do this?" Was talking with a group of ladies about going to Disneyland and uh, theme parks and what will they let you ride and what won't they let you ride, and those types of things that, you know, kind of, I feel like where I am in my journey and in getting back to independence, being able to have some of those pinpoint conversations. Somebody else mentioned earlier, just seeing at one point, I remember kind of joking about the fact that we had a whole table of people and everybody had a different kind of universal cuff to eat their meal, and why do you like that one? Well, why do you like this one? And having those just kind of fine tuning conversations and those little things that you kind of pop up spur of the moment and you're like, wait a second, why do you do it this way? Those things are huge.
Thank you, Lisa. And I think that's one thing you couldn't do remote. Those
Yeah.
types of things would be pretty difficult.
Yeah, you don't even think about it until you see it or
Right.
somebody says something else.
Yeah. Rebecca, what was the most impactful thing for you at Skills for Life 7?
So I think I have two things. One, one is the finding a tool to assist with use of a public restroom. Um, that is such a barrier, probably for many of us, especially girls. I don't know what it's like for men, but it's a very huge challenge. And I there you actually have a tool that they were selling there that you buy. It's a hook that you has a suction cup on it. So you can suction it to most surfaces, and it's a very durable suction, so you can use it anyways. Not to go into too much detail, but that was impactful in that I think that is one thing I learned that will have the most benefit, that I will get the most benefit from. I think the other thing from impactful, just looking at it more from an emotional level or whatever, is kind of to go back to what I said around just the span of type, ages, levels of amputation, and all of us just coming together, just seeing the way everybody came together and helped each other out. And like you said, you actually are in a room and you're not even thinking about the fact that you're an amputation or an amputee, right? Because you're among everybody that is an amputee as well. So you don't even think about it. It's just natural. But and again, just the vibe and the spirit of everybody. I can't get over how positive everybody was, right? I mean, it was just such an uplifting experience, and it was just uplifting to be around everybody and to witness everybody interacting with each other and just the level of situation. You turn around and you see a little girl with, you know, no arms riding around in a little car thing or rolling around on the floor, and it's like, it's great. It was like you cut loose. Everybody cut loose, right? So it was in like on the dance night, the last night, right? Everybody just got out there dancing however we can, and it was just fun. Nobody cared. You just cut loose and had a good time.
I appreciate that, Rebecca. It's good to see like everyone smiling and you think, oh, if they can smile and have a good time, I can too, you know. So I like that as well. How has your outlook on being an amputee changed after Skills for Life 7? We'll go with Rebecca first.
I don't know how much my outlook has changed. What I would say is I walked away feeling very encouraged, and like I can do this, I can do these things that I've learned. And then similarly, there's all these other people out there living with different levels of amputation doing it as well, right? I'm not alone, and I can do this. I've been the type of person that's tried to have a positive outlook anyways, and try to embrace what where I'm at in life, because it's by God's grace that I survived, and and I'm here, and I'm alive. And so I try to very much live my life with positivity and things like that. But I do get discouraged, and I do get, frustrated at times. And I think Skills for Life, I can always look back on it and just have that encouragement that everybody essentially provided for me at the conference, you know. So, because you don't get that anywhere else yet from a upper extremity amputation level. There's just not enough of us, you know. So I appreciate that now I can have something to look back on and remember and put me back into shape. Like, don't get discouraged. There's ways to do it. You've got people, there's people to rely on that you can reach out to and ask for help, and nobody's ever gonna judge you or question you. So yeah, I would say that's kind of how my outlook has changed.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca. I think like this. Sometimes you run out of uh drive, and then you have a conference like this, and then it's like refills, and
Absolutely.
you're ready to rock and roll some more.
I think it's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Lisa, how about you? How about for you?
Yeah, I would echo exactly what you guys said. The word that kind of comes to mind for me is like reinvigorating. You kind of settle into life and you get into your slumps and you're used to doing things this way, and then going to an event like Skills for Life 7 and you see what other people are doing and you get new ideas, and then I leave there kind of having a little more confidence in myself, and not being as afraid, and not being afraid that, oh, okay, if I push out of this comfort zone, I might fall, I might get hurt, or those types of things. Kind of reminds you see other people doing the types of things that you want to do, both in just personal independence, and we talked about the activities, the pickleball and the bikes and all of that, and you see people doing these things and realize like, hey, I want to do that too. So it kind of gives me, I feel like it gives me more confidence. My prosthetist has seen me more since, because I'm like, hey, I want to try out this, and I want to, work on a way to hold a pickleball racket, and I want to work on something that's going to help me do weightlifting. So that's been really reinvigorating for me, because I'm kind of more focused now on some of those kind of fun things, not so much just how am I going to function day to day, but how can I start exercising and doing some of these fun things. And a lot of that came from what I experienced and what I saw at Skills for Life.
Yeah, right on. Thank you, Lisa. I think I a lot of times I'll go to these conferences and then I'll see someone doing something or their prosthetic built in a certain way. And sometimes it's like I'm gonna hold my prosthetist accountable and have them learn these things because sometimes they can get into a groove where they're just like, this is how you do it. This is how you do every single one. And it's important for them to not get in that groove of comfortability. Eric, how about for you? Well, how has your outlook changed on being an amputee after Skills for Life 7?
Well, my initial amputee journey was a lot of denial and frustration, and I'd say probably for my first 2 years, I didn't really engage in it. I kind of ran from it, you know, distract myself with things, not really try things. Got used to my family helping me with do everything, and I slowly started getting back, and then I'd have a surgery and a full reset, and then I had to get back in that groove, and it was exhausting. And I had finally started probably about a year ago, really getting into the groove of it, and um, really trying to progress and get used to it. And like, hey, I got to wear my prosthetics all the time. I got to do this, and getting to the conference itself like, of course, I have bad days, and and you're just like, I just don't have it in me today, and get to the conference, and you learn that that's okay. Like, it's okay to have your bad days. It's okay to struggle and, push it off till tomorrow and then really try again. Um, and learning that most people don't even wear prosthetics. And that was a big surprise to me is like, yeah, like now I slide my prosthetics off. Like I can keep the harness on, slide my arms out, do something without them, slide them back on, do like a Swiss Army knife almost. And I found that that's more effective for me and learning to like not everything has to be done certain ways. I think that was a big thing and really try, at least try. And that's the big thing. You get stuck in your head and you're like, I don't think I can do that. And then you just don't even try it. And I think that that was a big thing that changed for me is like, hey, you got to try it because I was afraid to fail and I didn't want anybody to see me fail. Like if people are watching me, I didn't even want to try it. But now I want like I'll try some things here and there. Now it's not like I'm gonna do it every time. I'm still working on the confidence of it. Um, but just trying and like showing like, hey, it's not easy. Like, yeah, you saw this one Facebook video of me succeeding at it, but you have no idea how long it took to get that one right. And just being able to say, hey, like for the first time I went and played frisbee golf, figured out how to throw a frisbee. And yeah, it wasn't all great. One of those throws I threw it into the tree and it hit me in the head. Like it happens. But not being afraid to like show, hey, like, yeah, I had a couple good throws, but there's a lot of bad ones in there. And being able to accept the fact that, yeah, it's a process. It's not gonna just happen and I don't have to hide that it's just people don't want to just see that it's perfect. I don't want to just feel like I have to be perfect in it. And that was a big step for me.
Right on. Thank you, Eric. Tim, how about for you? How has your outlook changed on being an amputee?
I'd say my outlook on being an amputee has changed like drastically, especially when it comes to being like on the business side of things or the because before this conference, before Skills for Life 7, I was really kind of struggling to find my way in finding a job and being able to put myself out there as somebody with a disability or with an amputation because it's limiting for us when it comes to finding jobs. We can't, especially as someone who's uh, figured out that they don't want to go to college and only have a high school diploma. There's very limiting opportunities. I can't go flip burgers at McDonald's. I always say that as like a example that I give. I can't go flip burgers at McDonald's, so I kind of just have to see what's out there and hope that someone will hire me. And that was kind of just I felt very stuck. And being at this conference and talking to a few of the people here with Skills for Life, it was kind of uplifting because they were like, just forget about it. Don't sweat it. Like I, especially since majority of the people that I was talking to were in their 30s at most. I would say, at least I would say. So they definitely had some experience in the business world and finding out that yeah, okay, it's not going to be easy finding yourself a job, but I mean, eventually something will come, and I kind of appreciated that I wasn't the only one that struggled to find a job or is struggling to find a job at at this young age and only having a high school diploma. So that was definitely a big help, and it's definitely made my outlook on life a lot better.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim, and thank you everybody for your input. Okay, so let's talk about if you meet someone online or on Facebook, and they're a brand new amputee, and they're trying to decide it's 2028, and they're like, there's this Skills for Life 8. I don't know if I should go. What's your advice to them? Let's go with Lisa first.
Yeah, this is actually a conversation that I've had with a few people that I've met either locally or online that are amputees and haven't been to an event like Skills for Life 7. And I always tell them, like, you gotta go. You gotta go. Like, I know that sometimes travel's expensive and travel's scary, but um events like this have been such a big factor in the things that I'm doing in my life since my amputations. So I tell everybody, like, plan for the one in 3 years and really focus on trying to get there because um, you know, like Rebecca said, just the positivity of the people that you meet and the attitude and the attitude that you can do it and you're going to do it, and you might fail and then you try again. um just sticks with me and has really shaped the way that I've gone about being an amputee, and also has really shaped my expectations for the things that I will be able to do moving forward in my life. When you meet people that are living their life to the fullest and that are happy and just thriving, that I think I would tell anybody that I talk to online, like, really try to make it happen because it's so impactful.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Eric, how about you? You meet somebody new and they're trying to decide if they should go.
I was an amputee in 2020, and of course, I was still in that phase of denial. And the Skills for Life 6 was in 2022, and I just couldn't bring myself to go to it. And I feel like I missed out on a bunch and really delayed because I didn't know how to address things and talk to people about my injury. It's sometimes hard to talk to people about. And going to Skills for Life, I actually ended up really enjoying talking to people about it. Really learned more about amputations, learned more about how to do things, and actually learned a lot about myself too. I enjoy talking about it. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy seeing, like, even when things aren't going well, like, people that can just laugh at it, laugh at themselves, laugh with you, not make you feel like it's a failure, but more of like, oh well, we'll learn, um, and just people finding such joy just being present and going through this very difficult chapter of life and becoming a new amputee. It's a very difficult adjustment. Like, it's very hard to get to that acceptance. Like, some people can do it real easily, but I was not one of them. So being able to talk to people and be like, hey, yeah, it's gonna be okay. And it's hard to accept that at first, but talking to people helps. And going to this convention really opens your eyes to how much it can change. Like, it's not just a straight line to get to where you need to go. And meeting a bunch of people, like, after this convention, I have so many people that have added me on Facebook and talked to me, and just the web of connections that came out of this is insane. And it's just such a blessing to have been a part of such a thing. And I really look forward to, like, I'm gonna be going to them for as long as I can help it. So I think that it was just a very rewarding experience for me.
That's good to hear, Eric. Tim, how about for you? You meet someone online, they're like, I don't know if I should go Skills for Life 8.
I'd say that if you're looking into Skills for Life 8, don't hesitate because it's really fun. Like I said, it's very engaging, and I've learned a lot. And so for someone who's looking into that, and is especially for someone who's young like me, I I needed that help blossoming into adulthood. Like I really think that someone like that would be uh, definitely needs to look into it, and especially when it comes to uh, if you're short on funds, don't hesitate to start applying because scholarships are a lifesaver. Because I know I applied for some because I'm not working at the moment, so I needed the money to get myself there. So I applied for that scholarship as soon as my mom was like, scholarships are open, you better apply. I pretty much applied right away. So like I said, don't hesitate. It's really fun. It's engaging. And when it comes to money, if you are short on funds, definitely don't wait to get into that scholarship application.
I like that you rhymed. You said, when it comes to skills for life 8, don't hesitate. Hey, that's gonna be our catchphrase. Rebecca, how about you? You meet someone online and they're like, I don't know if I should go to Skills for Life 8.
I think I would say, why not go? I mean, there's no reason I can think of for somebody not to go. It's such a game changer for people, um, to be able to go. And I'll be the first person to advocate for somebody to go. And I think it is very important to bring up the scholarships because, these are they provide scholarships that extend beyond just, I mean, first of all, the conference is free to amputees, so you don't have to pay for that. But then, the scholarships help with travel. So don't let money be a barrier. There's ways to get around that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I could say enough good things that, I probably would talk their ear off and until they said they were gonna go. But I mean, I guess the other thing is, I before my accident, I was an extreme introvert. And um in this situation, it's scary, but you take the jump, like Eric did, take it and go. Even if you're apprehensive of going, go, because in the end, you are going to be so glad you did. That's what I would say to somebody is don't let your fear or any of that hold you back, because I can certainly relate to it. I would never go to a conference like that probably prior to my amputation. So don't let anything hold you back because no matter what, you will be glad you went. I don't think there's probably anybody that's not glad that they went.
Awesome. I think I- so in order for growth to happen, people have to get outside of their comfort zone. And if it's a comfort thing, just realize that once you get outside of your comfort zone, you're going to grow and become more stronger or more capable, and you're closer to being that person that thrives after uh, these types of amputations. Um, One last question. There's like two more, but we'll roll them all into one. First, how did you hear about enhancing skills for life? And then how did you hear about skills for life? And let's start with Rebecca.
So a couple of months after my accident, I just, similar to what Lisa was saying earlier, I just got online and started searching. I knew that I needed help, and that I was going to need help, and I needed resources and people that have gone through similar situations and all of that. It was very apparent to me that I needed that, and I just had to force myself again to put myself out there and just find people or associations or whatever. So I found enhancing skills for life just through searching on the internet. I It was one of the few that I came across that actually was related to upper extremity. There's a lot of fantastic organizations out there for amputees, but they're either not specific to body part, or they're specific to legs, but the non-specific ones, there's so many more people with lower extremity that there's a lot more resources out there. So when I came across enhancing skills for life, I can't explain how excited I was. um but it just happened that shortly after I came across it, they were having a monthly webinar. And so I joined the monthly webinar. And again, that's how I met Eric Nelson, who is almost exactly like me, both transhumoral arms. We both had skin grafts on one arm, but not the other. Like it's just crazy to me how close we are in even our circumstances. But outside of that, I started hearing about Skills for Life 7 very quickly, after, starting to get connected with Enhancing Skills for Life. And Eric obviously promoted it all the time to me, as well as other people that I talked to within Enhancing Skills for Life. So that's why I said I knew very early on that there was a conference in about 3 years, and I was going to go.
All right. Lisa, how did you hear about Skills for Life and Enhancing Skills for Life?
Yeah, so very similarly, I was looking for things online. I think the first thing that came across, my radar was also a webinar. I remember it was one on exercise that Tori Mugo was doing, and saw it and I was like, okay, I want to do this, and logged in, did the Zoom call. And then my mentor from the Amputee Coalition, Kimberly Emanuel, who I got to meet in person for the first time at Skills for Life 7, which was cool. She had said, hey, there's this group, it's for people that are missing both hands or more. You should check it out. So then when she sent it to me, I was like, oh, I've seen this before. Um, and then that's when I joined the group, which kind of the same thing that Rebecca said. There's a lot of stuff out there for amputees, but I found myself having a really hard time even reading through it, because there are so many people that are missing one leg, even missing both legs. And I'm going to be quite honest, as a quad, this upper limb stuff is way harder. This is by far the hardest part. Not that the legs it is an easy thing, but every time I was looking for information, it was, how do I do things without hands? How am I going to do all these things I need to do without hands? So finding that group, seeing that the focus was on people with upper limb amputations, was like the sun coming out, because it was like, this is what I need. This is what I'm looking for. And then found out about Skills for Life 7 through the Facebook group and through the people that I'd met in the Enhancing Skills for Life organization.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. Eric, how about you?
So I had originally heard about Skills for Life, and whenever I first heard about it, it was in 2021. So it was about to be Skills for Life 6. But at that point, I just wasn't receptive to it. I didn't really, kind of shoved it to the side. But then I talked more to my prosthetist, and my dad is a huge advocate for helping me try to figure things out and was super supportive. And I will thank him forever for really pushing me to do it. And we stayed on it, and he eventually told me when it was going to happen, and it was in Houston. And I'm from Dallas, so I mean that's not too bad of a trip for me. Luckily, I could drive it, and that ended up working out really well for me. And just keeping tabs on it and really having that push was nice to finally commit to it.
That's good to hear. Tim, how about you?
Yeah, for me, I heard about enhancing skills for life and skills for life around the same time. Because my mom, obviously, she's been kind of the leader in this situation. She told me about it because she heard of it from Sean Johnson, and Sean got a hold of her and uh, asked if we wanted to join up. She technically asked my mom if she wanted to join, and since obviously me being congenital alongside her, I she asked my mom asked me if I wanted to join. I said sure, why not? Gets me out of the house. So I was excited. I'm like I'm ready to go to Houston. I as soon as I heard that Skills for Life was happening, I was like, you know what, sign me up. So just enjoying first of all, just to be out of the house and being able to travel. I'm very worldly. I enjoy traveling, so it was fun to just see another part of the country, another part of the world.
Awesome. Thank you all. Thank you all for your time today. I'm gonna give you guys a round of applause with my little applause emoji. That's a round of applause. And appreciate all your input, and I'm glad you guys had a positive experience. I'm sure Rebecca's over the moon about it. She helped plan it. Um, Also want to keep everyone that's listening to the podcast afloat on activities coming up because Skills for Life isn't the only thing that Enhancing Skills for Life does. We have a skiing activity coming in March, and it's going to be here in Utah where I'm at. And be happy to see you there. So apply as soon as you can. And then there's also the bowling activity that Andy puts on. We appreciate those types of fundraisers. That's what makes it possible for all of us to come. Um, and so I hope everyone has a good holidays. Signing off for Enhancing Skills for Life. It's Sam Matangi.